You weren't born apologizing. You were born free, bold, unafraid, and full of potential. But somewhere along the way, you learned to play small. You learned that being too loud, too ambitious, too different made people uncomfortable, so you toned yourself down. You started second-guessing your words, adjusting your personality to fit expectations, and holding back your dreams to avoid judgment. When did you start believing that being yourself wasn't enough? When did you decide that your presence required an apology? Society trains you to seek approval instead of authenticity. It teaches you to conform, to fit in, to be agreeable. But here's the truth. Every time you shrink yourself, you lose a piece of your power. If you keep apologizing for who you are, you will never become who you're meant to be. Every apology for who you are chips away at your confidence. Imagine dimming your light a little more every day until one day there's nothing left to shine. You start to miss opportunities, let go of dreams, and settle for less than what you deserve. The longer you wait, the more you lose. Regret doesn't come from trying and failing. It comes from never trying at all. And one day, if you don't stop this cycle, you'll look back and wonder how much more you could have been if only you had given yourself permission. The world does not need a smaller version of you. It needs the full force of your potential. The first step is awareness. Catch yourself in the act. Notice when and why you apologize unnecessarily. The next step is breaking the habit. Stop asking for permission to exist. Your voice matters. Your dreams matter. Your presence matters. Stop saying sorry but and start saying this is what I believe. Stop saying I don't know and start saying I will figure it out. Confidence isn't built by waiting for approval, it's built by taking action. And when you stop seeking validation, you'll start realizing how powerful you've been all along. Who are you? Outside of the need to please. That's the person you need to become. You don't need to be loud to be strong. You need to be certain. The fear of judgment has controlled you for too long. It has dictated your choices, silenced your voice, and made you question your worth. But here's what they don't tell you. Judgment only has power if you believe it. You are not too much. You are not intimidating. You are not difficult. You are powerful. A lion doesn't ask for permission to roar. It doesn't apologize for being strong. Neither should you. Confidence isn't about making others comfortable. It's about being unapologetically you. Not everyone deserves an explanation for your choices. You don't need permission to live the life you want. Stop wasting time convincing people who will never understand your path. The people who truly support you don't need explanations. And the ones who do, they were never for you in the first place. You can respect others without shrinking for them. You can be kind without apologizing for your presence. And the moment you stop explaining yourself to those who don't matter, you reclaim your energy for what does. Now is the time to take action. Speak with authority. Own your words, your space, and your decisions. Stop apologizing for your success, your voice, your dreams. Set boundaries without guilt. Saying no is not an apology. For the next 30 days, practice showing up as your full self. No explaining, no shrinking, no apologies. Confidence isn't a personality trait, it's a decision. And the sooner you make it, the sooner your life will change. The moment you stop apologizing for who you are, everything changes. The world will try to mold you into something smaller. Refuse. They told you to be quiet. Speak louder. They told you to fit in. Stand out. They told you to wait your turn. Take your turn now. If not now, then when? If not you, then who? No more apologies. No more shrinking. No more waiting. Step into your power now. Confidence is natural. Self-doubt is learned. You weren't born questioning yourself. You didn't come into this world second-guessing your words, your dreams, or your place. That was taught to you. At some point, you started believing that being yourself wasn't enough. Maybe it was when someone told you to be quieter, to not take up too much space, to stop being too much. Maybe it was when you were told that standing out would only bring judgment. The world doesn't teach you to be yourself. It teaches you to conform. It teaches you to fit in, to adjust, to mold yourself into something more acceptable. But the truth is, you were never meant to be like everyone else. From childhood, we are told to be polite, to stay in line, to not make waves. Schools reward those who follow the rules. Workplaces promote those who don't challenge the system. And families often encourage behavior that doesn't disrupt the norm. You were born a roaring fire, but society keeps trying to pour water on you. Over time, you start to believe that playing small is the right thing to do. But true success belongs to those who dare to break free from the mold. The ones who refuse to stay in line. The ones who challenge the rules instead of blindly following them. The ones who understand that blending in was never the goal. Your silence makes others comfortable, but it keeps you small. Some people don't want you to grow because it forces them to question their own limits. It's easier for them if you stay the same, if you don't push boundaries, if you don't make them uncomfortable with your ambition. But ask yourself who wins when you suppress your power, and who loses. The hard truth is this: playing small helps no one. Owning your power, being bold, stepping into your greatness, that's what inspires others to do the same. When you stop apologizing for who you are, you give others permission to do the same. Every time you shrink, you send a message: their opinion matters more than my truth. When you apologize for being yourself, you're teaching people that their comfort is more important than your authenticity, that their judgment is more valuable than your voice. Over time, this cycle reinforces itself, making others question your worth and making you doubt yourself even more. But here's the truth: people respect those who respect themselves. If you keep making yourself small to fit into spaces that don't deserve you, you'll never grow into the person you're meant to be. Stop teaching people that you are less than you truly are. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Start owning who you are, because the only permission you ever needed was your own. Every time you apologize for being yourself, you weaken your confidence. It doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, quiet, and unnoticed at first. But with every unnecessary apology, every time you shrink to make someone else comfortable, you chip away at your own self-belief. How can you trust yourself if you keep stepping back instead of forward? Every time you hold back, you send a message to yourself that your voice, your dreams, and your presence are not important, that other people's comfort matters more than your authenticity. Confidence isn't lost overnight. It fades every time you choose fear over truth. Every time you hesitate when you should speak. Every time you downplay your own success. Every time you let doubt make the decision for you. Imagine holding a fire inside you, but every time you apologize for who you are, you pour a little water on it. At first, the fire still burns, just a little weaker. But if you keep dimming yourself, if you keep letting fear make your choices, one day that fire will go out. Self-doubt spreads when you let it control you. It starts with hesitation, then turns into avoidance, then becomes a habit. But look at those who refuse to apologize for who they are. The people who stop waiting for permission, who stop asking if they are too much. What happens to them? They rise, they create, they succeed. They are not more talented, more intelligent, or more capable than you. The only difference is they stop putting out their own fire. What happens when you say no to yourself before the world even gets a chance to say yes? How many doors have stayed closed because you never knocked? How many chances have you missed because you doubted yourself first? When you play small, you make your life small. You miss the opportunities that could have changed everything. The job you didn't apply for, the conversation you avoided, the chance you talked yourself out of. The opportunities you ignored today will be the regrets you carry tomorrow. Not because you weren't capable, but because you never gave yourself the chance. Fast forward 5 years. What will you wish you had done differently? Will you wish you had been bolder, taken the risk, spoken up when it mattered? The weight of what if is far heavier than the weight of failure. The world doesn't need a weaker version of you. It needs the real you, the full you, the unstoppable you. The question is, will you let the fire inside you burn, or will you spend your life pouring water on it? Most people don't realize how often they apologize unnecessarily. It's not intentional, it's a habit, one that slowly chips away at confidence without you even noticing. You apologize when someone bumps into you. You apologize for asking a question. You apologize for simply having an opinion. These small, automatic apologies may seem harmless, but they send a message to your mind that you are an inconvenience, that your presence requires an excuse. How many times a day do you say "I'm sorry" for things that don't require an apology? Start paying attention. Catch yourself in the act. The next time you feel the urge to apologize, pause. Ask yourself, is this necessary? If it's not, stop. Because every unnecessary apology is a step backward, reinforcing self-doubt instead of self-assurance. Why do we feel the need to apologize for taking up space? Where did we learn that our existence requires approval? This goes deeper than words. It's about the silent conditioning we've absorbed. From childhood, we're taught to be polite, to be accommodating, to not be too much. And so we grow up seeking permission to be ourselves, waiting for someone else to tell us it's okay to take up space. But confidence isn't about asking if you belong. It's about knowing you do. You don't need approval to be yourself. You don't need permission to take up space. You have the right to exist exactly as you are, without justifying, without shrinking, without apologizing. Words shape confidence. The way you speak trains your mind and the minds of those around you to see you in a certain way. If you use weak language, you teach people to underestimate you. If you keep saying "I'm sorry" but before stating your thoughts, you're telling the world that your voice isn't worth hearing. If you say "I don't know" instead of "I'll figure it out," you're reinforcing uncertainty instead of self-trust. If you keep speaking like you doubt yourself, how can you expect others to believe in you? Change the words you use, and you will change how you see yourself. Your words create your reality, so start speaking strength, not hesitation. Confidence isn't about never feeling fear. It's about acting in spite of it. You have two choices: live for approval or stand in your truth. That's what it all comes down to. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's refusing to shrink in the face of it. You will never be able to control how others see you, but you can control how you see yourself. And when you stop apologizing, when you start standing tall and speaking with certainty, something shifts. You stop living for permission. You stop waiting for validation. You stop playing small. The question is, who are you outside of the apologies, the shrinking, the need to please? That's the person you need to become. The moment you stop asking for permission to be yourself, you become unstoppable. Too many people spend their lives waiting waiting for approval, waiting for someone to say they are good enough, waiting for a sign that it's okay to step forward. But who are you waiting for? Who gets to decide when you are enough? The truth is, no one is coming to grant you permission. No one is coming to say, now you're ready. You don't need permission to be great. You just need to own it. The only difference between those who step into their power and those who stay stuck is the belief that they belong in the space they take up. Stop waiting. Stop hesitating. You are already enough. It's time to act like it. There are two types of people in this world: those who shrink and those who step forward, those who hold back, afraid of judgment, and those who refuse to be controlled by doubt. The difference between them isn't skill, talent, or luck. It's mindset. Confident people think differently. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't seek approval before they move. They trust themselves enough to act. A river doesn't ask permission to flow. It carves its own path. Success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who decide. The only thing separating you from the life you want is the belief that you are capable of having it. The moment you shift your thinking, everything changes. You are not intimidating. You are powerful. Somewhere along the way, society convinced you that being bold, being outspoken, being driven was too much. But who decided that? Who benefits when you make yourself smaller? You were never too much. You were simply surrounded by people who couldn't handle your strength. Stop apologizing for it. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. The world needs more people willing to take up space, not less. Playing small doesn't serve anyone. If someone is threatened by your presence, that is their insecurity, not your burden. Step fully into who you are without guilt, without hesitation, without apology. People will respect you at the level you respect yourself. This is the unspoken truth that most never realize. If you treat yourself like an afterthought, others will too. If you carry yourself with uncertainty, the world will reflect that back to you. But when you walk with confidence, when you speak with conviction, when you hold your head high, the world responds. A lion doesn't apologize for being a lion. It doesn't try to be smaller so that sheep feel comfortable. It stands tall. It moves with certainty. Confidence doesn't mean everyone will like you. It means you are okay if they don't. And that is where true power begins. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be yourself. The need to explain yourself comes from the belief that if people understood you, they would accept you. But that's not always true. Some people are determined to misunderstand you, no matter what you say. They fear what they don't recognize, and they judge what they can't define. Are you really going to waste time explaining yourself to those who will never get it? You don't owe the world an explanation for being who you are. The only approval you need is your own. When you stop waiting for permission to be yourself, you step into a level of freedom that most people will never experience. The habit of explaining yourself is rooted in fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of standing alone. But the truth is, no explanation will ever be enough for someone who has already decided they don't support you. When you wait for approval, you keep yourself small. You hold back your opinions, your dreams, your voice. You convince yourself that if you just explain more, people will finally understand. But that's not how it works. You don't have to justify the sun for shining. It just does. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live your life. Stop explaining. Stop justifying. Stop waiting for the world to say it's okay for you to be exactly who you are. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. It makes you strong. People who struggle with boundaries often believe they need to soften themselves to be accepted. They say yes when they mean no. They shrink to avoid conflict. But boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about protecting your energy. Saying no without explanation is a sign of confidence. Why should you shrink yourself to make others comfortable? Your time, your energy, and your space are yours to manage. Respecting yourself is not disrespecting others, it's setting the standard for how you should be treated. When you stop justifying your boundaries, you start building a life that truly belongs to you. The ones who truly support you don't need you to explain yourself. They don't question your choices. They don't ask why you've changed. They don't make you feel guilty for growing. They just support you. And those who constantly demand an explanation, they were never on your side to begin with. If someone cannot accept your growth without a justification, they were never rooting for you in the first place. Stop explaining. Stop defending. Own who you are, unapologetically. The right people will respect you for it. The wrong ones will remove themselves. Either way, you win. Your voice is your power. Stop weakening it with hesitation. Every time you speak with doubt, you train the world to question you. Confidence is not about being the loudest in the room. It's about speaking with certainty, with purpose, with belief in your own words. People respect those who own what they say. If you don't believe in your own voice, why should anyone else? Stop adding disclaimers. Stop softening your stance. Stop talking as if you are asking for permission. Speak like you mean it. Stand like you own it. Move like you belong, because you do. Success is not something you need to explain or justify. Some people will try to make you feel guilty for wanting more, for dreaming bigger, for refusing to settle. but their discomfort with your success is not your problem to fix. You were given a powerful voice. Why whisper when you were meant to be heard? Apologizing for your ambitions only keeps you small. Stop waiting for permission to chase your dreams. Your success does not need an apology. It needs your full confidence. Own it. Boundaries protect your energy, your time, and your peace. If you don't set them, people will take as much as you allow. Saying no is not selfish, it's necessary. Some will make you feel guilty for it, but ask yourself, if you keep saying yes to everything, when do you have time for you? Every time you set a boundary, you reinforce your worth. You teach people how to treat you. You stop giving your time and energy to those who drain it. A strong person doesn't explain why they need space, they take it. Starting today, commit to showing up as your full self. No more explaining, no more shrinking, no more apologies. For the next 30 days, walk, speak, and act like the person you were meant to be. Stand tall, own your presence, take up space. What happens when you finally step into your power, unapologetically? You stop waiting, you stop hesitating, you stop living small. Confidence is not a personality trait, it's a decision. And today you decide. Your life shifts the second you decide to own who you are, fully and unapologetically. You have spent too much time second-guessing yourself, watering yourself down, trying to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. But the truth is, the only permission you need is your own. You've been standing at the edge of your own greatness. Now it's time to step in. No more hesitating, no more waiting, no more making yourself small so others feel comfortable. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the decision to stop holding back? Stop waiting for the right time. The right time is now. How many times have you silenced yourself because you were afraid of what others might think? How many times have you let doubt whisper in your ear, convincing you that you're not ready? Let me tell you something. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. Readiness doesn't come before action. It comes from action. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build by showing up, day after day, as your full, unfiltered self. You cannot afford to keep playing small, not when you have something inside you that the world needs. Society teaches you to shrink, to be agreeable, to stay in your lane. They tell you to blend in, to lower your voice, to not ask for too much. But standing in your power was never meant to be comfortable for those who fear their own. The moment you own yourself fully, some people will be uncomfortable. That's their problem, not yours. You weren't born to be a shadow. You were born to be the light. Stop worrying about who can handle it. The world will adjust to your power, but only if you refuse to dim it. There will always be people who try to make you feel small, who try to convince you that you should be less, want less, expect less. These are the people who gave up on their own dreams, and instead of rising, they try to pull others down with them. But you don't owe them your silence. You don't owe them your doubt. The only thing you owe yourself is the courage to be exactly who you were meant to be, without hesitation and without fear. Think of the people you admire most, leaders, trailblazers, game changers. Did they get there by apologizing for who they are, by waiting for permission? No. They got there by refusing to let fear dictate their path. They stood in their power even when it was uncomfortable, even when people doubted them, even when the world told them to stop. And now it's your turn. They told you to be quiet, speak louder. They told you to fit in, stand out. They told you to wait your turn, take your turn now. You've spent too much time following the rules that were designed to keep you from becoming all that you are. Repetition rewires your mindset. The more you remind yourself that you were never meant to blend in, the more you start to believe it. They gave you rules, you're here to break them. You were not designed to fit into someone else's mold. You were not created to be a watered-down version of yourself just to make others comfortable. Every time you choose to conform to someone else's expectations instead of honoring who you truly are, you betray yourself. And that betrayal cuts deeper than any rejection ever could. There is nothing more painful than waking up one day and realizing you lived a life trying to please everyone but yourself. If you have ever felt like you were too much for certain people, that's a sign you're in the wrong environment. The right people will never ask you to dim your light. They will never try to make you feel small so they can feel big. The right people will celebrate your power, not be threatened by it. So stop wasting time trying to convince the wrong people to understand you. They are not your audience, they are not your people, and their opinion does not define your worth. The biggest mistake you can make is waiting for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right level of confidence. But tomorrow is not promised. Every day you hold back is a day you can't get back. If not now, then when? If not you, then who? There is no more time to waste, no more apologies, no more shrinking, no more waiting. Step into your power, now. Let this be the moment you decide. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Because the only thing standing between you and the life you're meant to live is the belief that you deserve it. And you do. You always have. But you have to act like it. You have to move like it. You have to step into that power, fully and without hesitation. From this moment on, you owe no one an apology for who you are. You owe no one an explanation for your dreams. You owe no one permission to take up space, to be loud, to stand tall, to exist as you are. You don't need to be smaller. You don't need to be more agreeable. You don't need to make yourself easier for people to digest. The ones who truly matter will never ask you to be less. Now go, speak louder, stand taller, take up space, and never ever apologize for being exactly who you were meant to be.